basicabanga nathi somasipala base Kokstad. Sibonga kakhulu ikakhulu ngoba thina sikugcineni kweKwaZulu Natal. Sila iqala khona futhi sila iphela khona. Uma usuphuma le Kokstad uzuphumile eKwaZulu Natal. Uma ngabe uphuma kwenye province ungena la usuqala eKokstad before usungangena kwaZulu Natal. Sibingelele kakhulu kuNgubonduna baba uChiliza uhlalo wendlu yamakhosi la kwaZulu Natal. Sithi kasibonge sethembe ukuthi lokusebenzisana kuze kwenza ukuthi sisheshe kubantu. Thina ke senisincede kakhulu ke mama uMadlamini nino baba uMvelasi ngoba next year akekho umuntu eKokstad ozosibuza ukuthi sivelaphi. Sanigcina ngo2016 somkhumbuza ukuthi eYouth Center ngomhla ka14 sasilethe icabinet esifundazwe nakazwelonke. Then asikaze sinikhohle nisize kakhulu. Lo mbuzo nje ngeke sawubuza. Bonga kakhulu. Siyabonga futhi nokuthi kuzokwenza ukuthi uhulumeni asondele kakhulu kubantu. Lento ye district developmental model nokuthunyelwa kwamalungu ecabinet kuma district kwenza ukuthi uhulumeni abe ngqo kubantu emazingeni aphansi. Sibonga kakhulu lokho. Sikalibazisanga ke siyanamukela eKokstad. Sethemba ukuthi nizophatheka kahle njenganibonile ukuthi niyabona lala ngaphandle ukuthi hayi nalabo bakhona bamaphoyisa beze nje ngoba bewubuholi. Hayi ukuthi akwazi indawo ukuhamba it's a peaceful area. Very peaceful. Of course ke zibakhona izinto ezincane. Then siyanamukela nonke emhlabeni waseKokstad ongaphansi kweHerigwala district. Enkosi.
Angibonge kubaba Meya ngokuthi esamukelile. Sibonge kakhulu ngicela simshayile izandla ubaba Meya ngokuthi asamukele. Thank you so much Langamandla. Mhlawumbe before ngingenise umama wethu uminister. Yakhuluma. Alright. Ngifuna ukwazisa abantu abakhoyo apha ukuthi ngike ngathi ngiyafunda apha ngiregisterishile apha side apha TVET College apha eKokstad. Kwakhona umbuzo obuzwayo phayana ukuthiwa give one name for the government of the day.
Yes.
And I scratched my head ngingayazi ukuthi yini ugovernment of the day. Only to be told that cabinet is the government of the day. Ngifuna ukusho ukuthi the government of the day is here with us. The cabinet is here with us, which means uhulumeni uyasebenza uze ebantwini. Over to you mama ukuthi usibekele. Thank you. Oh, I can.
Thank you very much. Ngibonge kumphathi wohlelo. Ngibingelele uzakwethu umphathiswa uMinister Mthembu nomphathiswa wakaKokstad provincini ubabuhlomuka. Ngibingelele ngokukhulu ukuzithoba kumakhosi eholwa usihlalo wawo weprovince ubaba Nkosi uMdunge. Bese ngibingelela amameya wonke engiqale nguSokhaya bese ngiza ke kumeya Petty district bese ngiza bonke amameya nangubamba khona nabanye omeya mhlambe engababonanga o deputy ngathini nje wangibheka kabi umeya waseBhlebezwe umeya waseBhlebezwe ngibingelela uDeputy Mayor wase Dr NDZ ngibingelela amamember seParlamente abekekileyo. Ngibingelele bonke speaker, bonke MM, wonke nje ama officials nama councillor ayo yonke imikhandlu akhona. Bingelela ama officials aphuma national, province, naphuma komasipala. Ngibingelele ngiyambona no DG wakaKokstad ukhona. DG ngoba umusha wasukuma bakubona. UDG wakaKokstad. Ningamhlebike ngesizulu nimbone emhloshana. Usikhuluma nje ngawe nje. Khaladi nje lala ixoxo. So ningadideki nimhlebe. Ngibingelela ama officials wonke bese ngibingelela kakhulu ke ababaluleke kunathi sonke amalungu omphakathi. Ngoba sonke sikhona nje sikhonela umphakathi. Sonke sila nje siqashwe umphakathi. Sonke sila nje siyasebenza sisebenzi somphakathi. Ngibingeleleke. Today sizo launcha i-district development model la Gwala. Ngempela ke sikhethe wena babumtolo ukuthi izolonjwa la. Silontsha ke in a situation ye COVID. So before we go further, we must remind ourselves that COVID is still here. That we are on level 1 does not mean that the risk of getting COVID is not there, it's there. The more we move, the more we come together, the greater the risk. So mask, sanitize, social distance at all times. And that we must preach everywhere. And of course, COVID has accentuated our challenges. The challenges of hunger, poverty, unemployment, inequality, the digital divide, just services that are not there, people who didn't have water, and so on. COVID has accentuated that. So we must make sure ukuthi sizowavala. We must work hard. But also it has brought to the fore what the president now calls the second pandemic. Second pandemic, which is GBV, but ubaba uMtolo ukubeke kahle wathi siyakubathisa masithi GBV. It's just violence against women and children on the whole. So that has also been accentuated by COVID. But let's leave COVID aside now and come back to what we've come here for, to launch the district development model. But before we go to launching the district development model, I just want to remind ourselves, I always want to remind ourselves, what is the mandate of local government? Why does local government exist? Constitutionally, local government is there to provide democratic and accountable governance for local communities. Democratic and accountable. It is there to provide services in a sustainable manner. It is there to promote social and economic development, to promote a safe and healthy environment, and to make sure that communities are involved in this democratic government at a local level. That's what the Constitution says. It's not just ordinary law, it's a constitutional mandate. But also, the Constitution also says local government it has developmental duties, and it must administer, budget, and plan, and prioritize basic needs, promote social economic development of communities, and participate in the national and provincial development programs. The Constitution underscores the importance of local government. Also, we know the importance of local government because when you wake up ekhaya uvuke ekuseni uma amanzi ungenawo cabanga local government. Mayimoto ibhajwa emgaqweni wasemakhaya linile cabanga umasipala. So we just experience umasipala on a day-to-day through government, through umasipala. So it's very important. And the Constitution recognizes that. That's why it says, the Constitution says, the national government and provincial governments, by legislation and other measures, must support and strengthen the capacity of municipalities to manage their own affairs, to exercise their powers, and to perform their function. So constitutionally, it's recognized that the other two spheres must strengthen the sphere of local government. And that's basically why we're here. That's basically why we have gone on a district development model, is to fulfill the constitutional mandate to support, to strengthen the capacity of local government. We could have gone through a local development model, but it was just going to be a bit difficult because locals are too many. And they are small. They don't give you a sense of scale when you are doing something. The district has scale, but there are only 44 districts plus 8 metros, which is manageable, 52. So, but even besides the Constitution, the founding document that we took to government, the RDP, also says that the government must be based on a coordinated and coherent development strategy, and that we must generate programs to address unemployment, and also that the measures we take must be an integral part of programs to build the economy and must also relate to meeting basic needs. That's what the RDP says. And it says we must also seek to help people generate economic wealth in their chosen communities. People mustn't go somewhere else because they are desperate. They must be able to develop and generate economic wealth in their chosen communities. But we know that this can't happen unless we work in a coordinated, integrated way. Across departments and down the spheres, we must be integrated and coordinated. Because the white paper of local government also emphasizes this point, that no country today can effectively meet its challenges unless the components of government function as a cohesive whole. Which is why today you have people from the cabinet, you have the MECs, you have mayors, you have everybody. But it doesn't end there, because Government alone can't do everything. Government has also got to work with other stakeholders. We work with traditional leaders. We must work with religious leaders, with business, with farmers, with women, with youth, with NGOs. Work together in a coherent manner. So, and I deliberately put inyoni lapha endizayo, because inyoni ngeke ngikwazi ukundiza amaphiko ayo engasebenzi omabili. Nesila is there to stabilize it as it flies. So everything must work together. Like inyoni mindiza, every component must work together. So that's why government, led by the president, has decided that we must really work together. And that's what, if you were asked to explain what a district development model is, it's just about working together in a coherent and coordinated way. It's to break the silos. If the silos are still not broken, at least create windows between the silos until you can break them. It is also what Mayor Ndolo said, to bring the government near to the people, is to narrow the distance between the people and the government, and to also deliver integrated services to the people. And in doing that, and in budgeting, we must make sure that the budget is gender responsive. Gender responsive, particularly addressing the issue of women, because they are the ones who are disadvantaged. They are the ones who are poor. They are the majority who are unemployed. They are the majority who get abused. So when we budget, when I come back, Mayor Mdolo, Mayor Nxumalo, Mayor Mbabanga, Lindi, when I come back, if I say, of your budget, in every rand of your budget, how much is going to women and children? You should be able to say so. You should be able to tell us how much of your budget, in every rand, how many cents are going to women and children. You should also be able to tell us how you are developing the youth, how you are empowering the youth, how you are skilling the youth. Because if the youth is not skilled, you won't empower them truly. So those things are very important. But it's also to maximize the impact of our budget on the ground as government. If we work together, national, provincial, and municipality, it means we can maximize the impact on the ground. And we can also facilitate for local economic development. And we can sustainably develop and accelerate initiatives to deal with poverty, poverty eradication, unemployment, inequality, hunger. And we must, working together, Minister Mtim, one of the things we must say, we have a wall-to-wall local government that must be accompanied with a wall-to-wall ICT infrastructure. Because if we don't have a wall-to-wall infrastructure, we won't really be able to develop our communities properly. And the Constitution says municipality must budget, must plan, and the white paper says we must have long-range planning, plan for 25 years at least. Not plan for 1 year, not plan for 5 years. Part of the problem, if you plan for 1 year, you'll be constrained by COVID. You can't do anything because there's COVID. If you plan for 5 years, you'll also be constrained by the budget you have for the MTF in 5 years. But if you plan for 25 years, you can break out of all that and reimagine your district and say, in 25 years, that's where we want this district to be. And then put the building blocks and then break your plan into 5 year, 1 year. But you must know, when I come to you, Ebuhlebezo, you must be able to tell us, in 25 years, this is how Buhlebezo will be, according to our plans. But in 15 years, that's how it would be. In 10 years, that's how it will be. In 5 years. But we must have a long-range planning. If you are a parent, you don't plan for your child just for this year or for the first 5 years. Already, if you are a parent, even if your child is 1 year old, you are already thinking, hey, ngifuna lo mntana mabe yi-pilot. Awusho ukuthi hayi nje ngizoplanela nje 5 years. You dream. You dream big and long range. And that's how other countries develop. So the district model should allow us to do that. Now, how do we do that? We must look at what we have. If we look at what we have, we can then plan what we want to do and where we want to be. The Chinese, if I had to borrow the Chinese plan not for 25 years, they have a 100-year plan, which they developed a long time ago, about 40 years ago. They are still on that plan. They tweak it here and there depending on the conditions. But what they say is, what do we have? What are we endowed with? Before they go outside, which was they first say, Sinani, what do we have? And then they say, what is our comparative advantage? Yini, when I'm tolo la, ungayenza kangcono, kunomuntu wasogwini, or kunomuntu wase jogavi. Yini le, a comparative advantage when? Bese utige, okay, this is my comparative advantage. So, how do I then structure the industry or the economy of based on what I have and what is my comparative advantage? And then they look at all sorts of things like incentives, they look at training, they look at all sorts of things. But first is what you have. So if we look at what we have, what is happening here in this district? What do we have? Of course, we have our people, because the most precious resource that we all have is our people. That's where the biggest investment must go, to our people. Because if you invest in the people, they will figure out what to do with the rest. If you don't invest in the people, you may have all the money, you may have all the brick and mortar. Nobody will figure out what to do with that money or with that brick and mortar. So our people are our most precious resource, and we must invest in them. But also, in this district in particular, we have a lot of things that we can use. We have land. Doesn't matter where you approach it from. Whether you come from Dr. NDZ, Wehle Postonut, whether you come from Sebezwe, whether you're coming from the Eastern Cape, ungena la, uqhubeka, there's land. And land is one of the most important assets that anyone can have. Because everything happens in the land. You can't mine if you don't have land. You can't build a school if you don't have land. You can't build a factory if you don't have land. You can't grow food if you don't have land. Land. So we have land here. So we must figure out what we do with the land. Of course, we also have very beautiful landscapes, breathtaking landscapes. It's a very beautiful part of the country. And of course, we have, in the southern part, we have UNESCO World Heritage Sites, the Drakensberg Mountains. We have forests, hiking trails, and we have good soil, quality soil. We also have high altitude, which has lots of advantages. We have clean air. Did we know that this district has the cleanest air in South Africa? Buyaz leyo mtolo. Yeah. We have the cleanest air in South Africa, in this district. And that we were told by the president of Athletics South Africa. They were puzzled. Ukuthi, why does this dusty, poor district that is not known produce such good runners? The first African continentally to win the New York Marathon comes from this district. So they were puzzled to say, how does this happen? Umthembu uzothi wakithi ke lo. Umthembu who has won the comrades going up and down uphuma kule district. So they were curious ukuthi how that district poor ayaziwa umuntu nje kodwa iproducer labantu. They did research and they found that there are two advantages for runners in this district. One is the high altitude. The second is the clean air. So it's not only good for the runners, for tourists. Masukatele pollution yaseThekwini, yaseGoli, come here. But we are not marketing those things, but it's an endowment that we have clean air. And also, we do have water, it's just that we haven't harnessed it to supply it to the people. But we have rivers. We also have varying climatic conditions. Mangisuka nje eBhulwa ngo-6 ekuseni bekubanda ngifaka ijazi. Those varying climatic conditions are also an advantage. How many districts can boast ukuthi ngenye ilanga nje siba neqhwa la? Likhithikile nje. Lots of tourists nje bayathanda ukuzobona. Even local, you can attract local tourists. Bazobona iqhwa. One day, lo hleli lapha isifundiso uLumumba Mtintso ngane ka Comrade Thenjiwe uthi hayi sivakashela umali engifuna ingane zami zobona iqhwa phesheya ngithi alikhona nala eSouth Africa iqhwa. There is no even here in South Africa. Obviously we don't know our country. Yes, ukubona uma is one thing, but ukubona iqhwa is another. You can see it here. Every year in Durban ukhahlamba sinalo iqhwa. Sometimes liyehla lize lifike emakholweni, lize lifike eBhulwa, lize lifike nala. So That's an advantage, but we don't take advantage of that. Also masikhuluma ngama-tourists, sifuna kuze kufike umuntu ophuma phesheya. Kanti local tourists, national tourists, you can make a lot of money. So and then we have commercial agriculture. We have lots of plantations, but we can produce meat, dairy, poultry, wool, maize, sugar, cane, citrus, goats, pigs, even rabbits. I was reading about rabbits because I'm retiring ngifuna ugo farm rabbits. Ukuthi ayithanda indawo ebandayo. So they were saying this area is good for rabbits. They were also saying, the Agricultural Research Council was saying this area, especially Dr. NTZ, Buhlebezwe, Mzimkhulu, and Swartberg, is very good for bees, would be very good for bees, for keeping bees and producing honey. Of course, we already have milk here, but we can expand it. Ubaba Mdungelo is very passionate about having a dairy park. Why singayenzi? They had a big plan ukuthi sonke asifunayo so lethi inkomo zethu bese besishintshela ngezobisi bathathe lezi esinazo isakhamuzi sifake basishintshele ngezobisi sifakwe dairy park. Mawune inkomo ezu-50 uyazi ukuthi zu-50 mase ziproduce ubisi uyazi ukuthi ziproduce so many liters a day and wena uthola so much per liter. Then i-dairy park ithatha so much because phela iyazigada iyazifida izenza konke okuhle. And then you can even start agro-processing that milk. But kuthule i-passion yakhe mina ngiyayazi ngoba he's been talking about it. So babhlomuka siyanicela kwi-province the dairy park ngesikhathi comrade Cyril Xaba, I think that's when he was trying to do it, but emva kwaloko kwavele kwacweba iziziba ayivuke because abantu basebeqala ucalculate ukuthi hayi ngenkomo yami sinobisi every day ngizothola imali engaka because ubisi esibhosta ngalo manje luproduce wabelungu emaplazi thina sulproduce. We can add to that. 30%, 35% of clover milk comes from this district. So 10% of the milk in South Africa comes from this district, but we can do more. So let's look at that. Our competitive advantage, we have got fertile land, we have secure access of tenure, we have nature reserves and conservation areas were strategically located. Umtolo was boasting which is a gateway to the Eastern Cape and to Lesotho. This district is a gateway to Lesotho. was Dr. NTZ Zolo was telling us if we can sort out the border post, kube ne proper border post between Lesotho and Underberg, then people base Lesotho bordering can go and can buy this site and support the economy. We also we have the N2. We are a tourism destination, but we can even be more. Arts, culture, and heritage, we can develop that a lot. A lot of countries do that, and their tourism benefit, it's based on that. Where even if they don't have the sea, they don't have, but they use their cultural heritage, their arts, their performing arts, their museums. So that's an area that we can do. That's our comparative advantage. And of course, we have got good runners, we have milk, and many other things. So when we look at our optimal industrial structure, then we must say, how do we diversify what we have, and how do we massify what we have? And how do we change the ownership and structure of the economy so that many more people come into the economy? Co-ops, small business, and some big business as well. Nobody says we must forever be small business. It's like when we talk about women in the international community. Once you talk about women and the economy, then you start hearing them talking about microfinancing. Micro. What's micro about women? But always they'll say micro this when they talk about us and the economy. No, we want to be in the co-ops, we want to be small business, we want to be in big business. And this you can do, you have the people. And of course, we must also resuscitate and expand agro-processing. You know, food, agriculture here, there's a big potential. And I follow scientific developments, but I've not seen a scientific development that say there'll be a different type of fuel for human beings. Human beings are fueled by food and water. That's what gives us energy to do what we do. And we are a very inefficient machine. We need to be fueled 3 times a day, not once a week or something. So, food. That's why even during COVID, food and agriculture was going on. It was never closed. So we have a big potential. Babu umdungi emakhaya amakhosi awasebenzisane nathi abantu balime. Masipala kasebenzisane namakhosi nabantu kulinywe, even agro-processing. So, of course, tourism, as I've said, both local, national, and international tourism. Siyazi nje indawo yakithi. Kuthi makuvalwe ikole, kuyiholide, uthi cha ngisafuna ukuya kuleya party. Qale ngayo nje district. Uvakasha. Then KZN. Then South Africa. Hayi ukuthi nje mawuke waba nemali sikufanele uye phesheya. Ake siqhube nje la. So tourism has a huge potential here. And as I say, arts, culture, heritage, creative sector has a huge potential. There is a large informal economy here, but we can assist them to break out of being informal to formal. Construction of the infrastructure. There is a big potential because we need water infrastructure, social infrastructure, transport infrastructure. There is a lot. But of course, you can't just plan for your own locality economically. You plan with the district. But you can also plan just for your district. You plan with the neighboring districts. And the neighboring districts must plan with the province, and the province plans with national. And of course, we must also link with the region. We must also link with the global economies. Now there is the African Free Trade Area, which has more than 1 billion people. So whatever we produce, we should be able to find markets just on the continent, before you go to India, before you go to other areas. And let's look at what we have. India imports thousands, millions of goats and skin, goat skin. The Middle East imports lots of goats. But KZN itself, I was doing some research, KZN imports 1 million goats a year from Namibia and from other provinces. Why can't we produce that ourselves? Why can't we produce it for ourselves? Almost every home in the rural areas has some goats. Why can't we train them to keep those goats for commercial use? Yes, continue with using them as a data bundle to the ancestors, but also as a creation of wealth. So create wealth using them as well. So we were just looking. This is just a rough exercise we were doing, looking at what is there and what can be massified, what can be done more, looking at the 4. As you can see, NTZ you can have ecotourism, adventure. There is religious tourism like Kevel. Kusuka abantu loko Swazini nakuphi beze la eKevel. That's tourism. We must take advantage of it. There is wildlife, agriculture, big potential for all those things. Arts, crafts and culture, sports, can do a sports center. There used to be a gliding school. I don't know whether it's still there, but trade and retail. You know, eBhulwa bakithi. Bantu base NTZ. eBhulwa. Akunalutho. Mangikhula bekunezitolo ezimbili esingenhla nesingezansi. Namanje it's not that different. Can we develop it? Can we get trade and retail there? Umasipala must look at that. But even as you build your dam, you can also build tourism attractions as part of building the dam. So there are lots of things. Greater Kokstad, you have a lot going for you. I won't waste time by reading every part. You have got historic tourism, agriculture, agro-processing, you can do that, renewable energy. In fact, almost every part of the district can do renewable energy, music, cultural festivals, creative industries. A lot of people outside our country buy things that our people make, but they don't buy them directly from our people. White business people collect these things and then export them. And our people get almost nothing. So I'm just talking about things we have. We can then expand to others, but these are things we already have. Whether it's Mzimkulu or Buhlebezwe, we have. So in Buhlebezwe, they were telling us about a fashion show they have once a year. Why can't you develop that to be a big thing for the district? Or something. So there is potential. for economic development. But of course, you must also remember you link with Lesotho, you link with Eastern Cape, we link with other districts in the province, and the province links with Swaziland, links with Mpumalanga, links with Gauteng, links with Free State, links with Eastern Cape as well. So the potential is huge. But I always feel sad that KZN is amongst the 3 poorest provinces with all the potential it has. And I feel more sad that this district is amongst the 10 poorest districts in the country with all the potential that there is. So let's build on that potential. But for us to build on that potential, we must have good governance in the municipalities. We must have good financial management. We must have good administration. I was glad this morning we started on a good footing, no high vacancy rates, we were told, no debt to ESCOM. And the city looks, the town looks a bit clean, eh? It's clean compared to many others that I know. So that's what we need. Need good financial management. You said you have liquidity for 3 months. I hope the others also, I think Buhlebezwe also said they were liquid and so on, so that's good. Good governance. Good governance is when you can see where the administration starts and ends, like that clean egg, and not this one that's mixed up. So, yeah, in some awazi ukuthi administration iphi, awazi ukuthi political iphi, business iphi, kuhlangene nje, true. Ngakubalela nje ukuthi phela ngithunyiwe lokho namhlanje. Omasipala banje. Mina ngiyajabula la Kokstad ukuthi nomasipala lo oclean nje oyiqanda eliclean yabona ukuthi egg white phelaphi, iyellow iqalaphi. Uyayibona ibusiness ukuthi iqalaphi ngoba manikwazi good political, financial administration, then you are able to deliver services to the people. Lo masipala oyinhlakahlaka nje xa uthi khona service delivery. No, kunama protest nje. Bantu baya protest, bayashisa benza konke. It's all in our hands. It's all in our hands. So, thanks the political champions, you don't have a very big heavy lifting here. Things are not too bad, but you must take them to higher levels. So ama political champions niyawazi angidinga ukwasho. Iplan yethu next time, it must be gender responsive. IDPs, we must all participate, national, provincial, and local. I think as national, I don't know about provincial Hlomuga, but as national, I can say, I can confess that we have dropped the ball. We have not been participating in the IDPs. Maybe province has, I don't know. But now all of us must. So that we know what are the aspirations of our people, and we all have a role to fulfill those aspirations. And we must plan properly. We must address the spatial planning, apartheid. Then in every district there must be a hub that has planning, environment, admin and finance, social stakeholders and all the stakeholders, engineers and departments. Minister Mtem, we must convince our colleagues that most departments must have a person at the district, starting with Kokstad, because nathi asikho kahle. So that makunento wonke umuntu ukhona, makunento yamanzi wonke umuntu ukhona, yezindlu wonke umuntu ukhona, emgaqo wonke umuntu ukhona, yani wonke umuntu ukhona usebenza ndawonye. So that's what we must do. And of course, we must also make sure that we monitor and evaluate. We must work with other institutions for research and development, like CSIR, academia, some industry bodies that do research. And we must have partners, both inside the country and outside. And so the three spheres should work truly as one. And once we do that, we'll be much stronger. So we must take Ben Okri's words. He said, I quote, "We can redream this world and make the dream come real." Human beings are gods hidden from themselves. Because God doesn't come and build this hall, even if he knows we need it. He does it through us. But if you don't redream, if you don't reimagine your space, your district, so hlala siphuwa sinje. But if we reimagine, sithi no, 25 years, how le Kokstad yobungasayiboni le subonenye. 25 years, luamzimkulu, how? 25 years, buhlebezwe, so bese sine dairy park enkulu, so bese sine nedolobha elikhulu, so bese sinani. Abantu bala, bobe bengasahambi ngoba be desperate ukuya kwezinye indawo. Bobe behamba out of choice. But it's in our hands. It's not it's not in his hands. It's not in Shomuga's hands, in Tembu's hands. It's in our hands. Ngiyazibala nami ngoba ngwala, it's in our hands. Masifuna ukuthi le ndawo ithuthuke iphume ku first 10 poorest districts izophuma. With our hands, with our minds, with our eyes, with our mouths, with our feet, we will do it. Bakhona nalaba simele eParliament nabo bazosilekelela. But ngiyethemba nje ukuthi sizokwenza lokho. But we must have long-range plans. Amakhosikazi ala, like South Africa yonke, kufanele ku 25 years athi hey kwakukhona iGBV hey akuyasihlasela kodwa sisayazi lokho ke kusezandleni zenu ke budoda ukuthi kwenzeke. Makhosikazi ala kufuneka besethi hayi 25 years ago hey sasisokola, but manje o set aside nani bayasebenzela. Beka sekunosomabhizinisi abangaka bamakhosikazi. Young people should be saying the same thing. Skills. So sinikeziwe amandla okubusa, amandla okulekelela abantu. Sinikeziwe ukuthi siba abaphathiswa. Singabi wongqongqoshe. Siba abaphathiswa. Because mawuthi mphathiswa, it reminds you ukuthi akuyona yakho lento. Phathela abantu. So siba abaphathiswa. Siyabonga ke kakhulu. I just thought I should take time to explain this district development model so that we all go out knowing what it is, but also knowing our responsibilities. We've neglected economic development. 25 years, we must have sustainable, resilient, vibrant, prosperous, climate smart communities. That's what we must be building. Siyabonga ke kakhulu, ngiyabonga.
Thank you, Sister. That's good.
Asibonge kumama wethu, ngicela sishaye izandla nje kakhulu ngale program enhle kangaka. No, thank you so much, ma. Mhlawumbi before ngidlulele kwi-item elandelayo kwi-program yethu, ngicela ukwazisa umphakathi la wase Kokstad. Mhlambe kunekomiti abangalaziyo kwamasipala elibhekelelana kakhulu nakwezinto ze-GBV, liyaqwalasela ukuthi umasipala wenzani. Kukhona ikomiti apha elilitwa ngumama Chazi ekuthiwa i-Women's Caucus, belinama awards nje few weeks back. Engifuna ukusho ukuthi mabesihlangene ne-province umama uShandu we-provincial commissioner, iKokstad iye yabambana ne-Dr. NDZ #1 in terms of implementing ama-resolutions e-conference ye-Women's Commission nokuba ne-programs. Ngicela abazishayele izandla. Kodwa ngifuna ukusho ukuthi bazazi baba nomthwalo nje immediately after sibe nama-awards kuye kwakhona i-program ebuhlebezwe nje ye-Women's Caucus eyezele ezinye i-programs ezininzi. So i-awards za next year if ningaluza umeya nje waba nekhwele kakhulu nje wagijima kakhulu umeya wasebuhlebezwe nje une-programs ezininzi nje aselezakhile for 2020 from 2021. So ngiyacela ke Kokstad ukuthi ningangilahli. Ngalomazwi ke ngicela ukuthi ngingandisanga isikhathi eside nginike u-champion wethu we-province ubaba wethu uHlomuka esihleli sinaye nje every now and again, u-MEC wethu wakwa-Kokstad uphinde bengu-champion wethu wale district ukuthi azobeka amazwi regarding this program ye DDM. Thank you.
Siyabonga. Sifisa ukubingelela Program Director, uSpeaker, Mama Jojo, sibingelele the ministers present bobabili, uMama Dr. Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma, ngibingelele uMinister Mthembu from the presidency, sibingelele uZwide, the district mayor, no deputy, and all councillors from good districts. We want also to greet all mayors present from Obuhlebezwe, Mzimkulu, host Kokstad, and all councillors from all those municipalities. Sisokhuleka makhosi asendlungulo wonke khona ngaphakathi eholwa usihlalo Nkosi Ochilezi, siyakhuleka makhosi. Akithi sifisa ukubingelela all officials from different departments, municipalities, or MMs ababona bakhona ngaphakathi, osomabhizinisi abakhona, NGOs, CBOs, ngibingelele malungu eParliament akhona ngaphakathi eswabonile abomthetho media sithi all protocol is observed. Now ngihleli la phansi program director minister ngiyazibuza ukuthi mina ngempela ngizothini ngoba sizo national minister umama Dr. Kokstad Dlamini Zuma uzoyilaunch official la eHerigwala DDM after launched by a president go October last year here eKwaZulu Natal eThekwini, were then requested sacela ukuthi si launch kuwo wonke ama district. Now as a champion was Herigwala. Now I'm lucky, I'm grateful mama ukuthi ufike uyilaunch nami sengiyothi mase kukhulunywa ngithi awu angisazi ukuthi ngempela anibonanga ukuthi kwakhona ngisho national minister ababili uminister uMthembu champion wala eHerigwala naye ngoba upresident no Minister Kokstad besebenza ngenxa ye-DDM. They deployed all ministers and deputy ministers across South Africa kuma district. Yingakho ke umvela sesinaye and sizohlezi sinaye. Ngiyafisa ukuthi kahle kahle ngaba ngikhuluma wakwathi upresident uKhalime Modlanta wathi uyaba yindoda noma ungakhulumanga zwethu akusho ngaso isikhathi kufanele makukhulunywa nawo ukhulume bese ufila ngazathi awusayona indoda but sifisa ukusho eministers ukuthi we've been working la district ngifisa ukuthi sibabonga abaholi base district bonke belidwa umkhathwa nama locals ngomsebenzi abawenzayo besebenza namakhosi asendlunkulu kuzo zonke omasipala is one district as much as ngo champion Herigwala kodwa siyawahamba ama district ngokomsebenzi uyabona ukuthi kuyasetshenzwa kufana makuthiwa attend the meeting yokuthi uyabheka wonke angeze ngizibuza ngithi uzwethu yabafoyela yini semeetingini manje ayikho umuntu ozolova. We really want to appreciate and ngiyakholelwa entweni yethi umuntu onconywe esaphila angikholelwa kule ukuthi umuntu onconywe ngasekho. Sifisa ukuthi sinibonge niqhubeke njalo. I-DDM as a model, as a way of thinking, a minister, it came vele as KwaZulu Natal sine a program esibiza ukuthi Operation Sokumasake. We then modify it yakwazi ukuthi sibe in line with the principles or the policies, as much as it's not a policy DDM, but the way of thinking it's senza kanjalo. That's why we really want to appreciate role yenziwe uhulumeni national. We have a responsibility, ministers, because DDM is saying one plan, one budget, and implementation. Sikwazi ukuthi siyimonitor from at our level, at the district political level, and as also as technical. Iba khona yona ingxaki. Sometimes what we have identified challenges, bese I problem iba la emalini. Awona nje sihlele lapha ya kule meeting esibuya kuyona ngihle eceni kameya seKokstad. Othi awungacela 20 million MEC ngithi mina ngakutshela nje ukuthi awukho 20 million imali yathathwa yiCovid sathathelwa imali. Uthi awusazama noma 5 million ke ongenani. Ngithi mntoli imali ayikho njengamanje. Why I'm raising it? I know ukuthi befuna le mali, hayi ngoba uyifuna uyifaka esikhwameni. Ufuna to ensure ukuthi the people of Kokstad bayakwazi bathole i-service delivery. Not only baba umtolo, mayasebushe bezo. Yes, mangeke ngathi ama-truck madoda, kunama-truck ufuna ama-truck, ma-tipper truck for uzokwazi ukulungisa umgwaqo. Yabona. So ziningi izinto ngisakhuluma nje ngokwakhokcha in other departments because we have a responsibility as champions to coordinate and engage other departments to ensure ukuthi siwasebenza ndawonye. Ngenzela ukuthi nibone ukuthi ngirekodile lezi zinto ngathi hey uhlomo ngadoda lezinto lezi akasazisho nami njengoba ngizifaka nje sengisho ukuthi ministers senzothi manifika kubaba uMbongweni uminister nisho ukuthi hayi uhlomo kwayishilo ecelile imali angayikhulumi le enye ngeke ngikwazi ukuyikhuluma la imali sifisa ukuthi nje minister ngoba besingafisa ukuthi sikhulume kakhulu we welcome ilaunch we commit ourselves that we are going to participate in all government program and senze isiqiniseko ukuthi abantu bathola intuthuko sikwazi ngayonke indlela ukuthi we kunenkinga sifisa ukuthi national njengoba ngisho ukuthi all departments here Gwala kuyahlalwa kuno usihlalo umama uZuma noma ukhona yini siyabonga kakhulu ungasokoma nje she's one of abantu that abasebenzayo zosihlalo we-DDM ngokwe task team ye-district u-director waka health have been assisting in terms of presenting report, consolidating and working with all other managers. Fisa ukuthi ngoba kubalekile ukuthi si acknowledge izinto ezi-wrong so that makunama challenges ngathi ukuthi kodwa thina sinqonywa nini njalo kuhlezi sithethiswa. Siyabonga. Thank you.
Manje lapha kufutshane manje uzosula kaloku. Mama Gaqa ngasetshoniphi. Ngizocela ukuxolisa kwindlu yonke. Ngiphethe le program ngicabanga ukuthi ziyafana kanti khona umehlukanyana okhoyo. Bekumele banje yabiza umeya emva kuba kukhulume uminister. Sengizocela ke ukuthi umeya asengena manje umeya we district ubaba uNqumalo.
Angibonge mphathi wohlelo ibingelele ko minister bam umama uDlamini Zuma umvelase uHlomuka ngikhuleke inkosini yaseMadungeni ephindi busihlalo wecontrolesa nosihlalo wamakhosi local and provincial. In the interest of time, angithi all protocol is observed. Kuthiwa la umuntu akazo inputha entweni aseshilo emisi ukuthi it's very comprehensive. Uminister ukuthinte konke. Kodwa ke ngoba sinabasebenzi la OMM nama HODs eminyango yonke. Into engifuna ukuzoyidlulisa nje la esesike sayibona isebenza ngoba kunama stakeholders la business, religious, amakhosi and so forth. Into ethi ma in support of this DDM esifika sikwi right direction as a district and its families. Baba umvelase njengobula ngithe nje isuda ngiyigqokela ukuthi ubone ukuthi nami njengomeya ikhona nginama avaro na u5 angihlale office yabo nje lama project ebeswahamba wonke I've been to it siyosebenza sihamba no MM wase districtini kanye nama directors akhona sizama ukuphusha into yokuthi as district nje abantu bafuna amanzi yonke lento abekhuluma ngayo lawo uminister kungaba itourism ngabe ilocal economic development idinga into ezimbili idinga umhlaba idinga amanzi so ke mangihlala phansi ngizothi ave kumnandi ukusebenza under pressure ngifuna ke la ukupromisa ekutheni this DDM sizoyiphusha to the highest level umvelase minister uzoloku ekuthinta nje ngoba kufanele as ifamily yase Gwala sihlaleni once a month OMM no mayor sibheka nje into yokuqala abekhulume ngayo uminister planning yethu because funeka sazi Kokstad uthi mabe plana icapacity yamanzi khona same thing emzimkhulu same thing nakwenye indawo sizobe sibheka lezo zinto and okukahleke la kule region yethu ne district ikhona ipolitical will uma ukhulume ngento ebaluleke kakhulu capacity of the state to deliver enye ke le kufuneka ama stakeholders la ukuthi singagcini ngale launch kubonakala ukuthi kulontshiwe manje sizobona ngani ngama impact on the ground siphinde silwe nama deficiencies njambalwa le ekuthiwa inability to implement ngoba we've got most of the time good policies man good business plan kodwa singenzi nje ngoba idairy para yaselokuzeni nje yaye kwanje isidingo singekho enye deficiency ekhona is the monitoring and evaluation of izinto esivumelene ngazo ukuthi ziyenzeke ukuthi phela siphumeke siyozibheka ukuthi ziyenzeka ngempela eyesithathu deficiency esiba nayo is inability to share knowledge yabona umuntu olosengithe masiphuma la ngifuna ukubona lemigwaqo yakhe ngoba sithembisile sinobaba umvelasi ukuthi sizazama ukuthi kube ne factory la yokwenza lama pavings so that bonke omasipala mbongo mfowethu lapha ko White City nakwezinye indawo nizipave lezi ndawo through ukusebenzisa abantu ngale program esobe ngizoyibona nje kumntolo masiphuma la ngoba yena useyenzile because we must share knowledge yomunye anayo because it's good to copy what is good yabo official ungenza into ekuthiwa mhlambe illegal ye copywriting uma senza kanjalo this co-op mvelase enginethemba elikhulu ukuthi uzosicoordinatela sifuna zonke izindlu throughout district ama blocks sazi ukuthi there is a cooperative yakha ama blocks noma ngabayaphi those are the things ke ngithi sizipromisa la khona sizothi noma sesifike lokuvila lapha sithi hey konja ngasukuma lapha ngathembisa uye ukwazi ke ukuthi udeliver makwenzeke njalo kodwa nje sibonga kakhulu ngale DDM uminister ikhonto bekhuluma ngayo yama clinic kulento yokuthi capacity of the state to deliver ukuthi wafuna ama design ama clinic amathathu encane kakhulu ephakathi nendawo enkulu uhulumeni wasebenza ngaloma lokusa sizo save eningi imali ngoma consultant those are the things that we need to inherit ukwenzela ukuthi sikwazi ukuthi sisebenze kahle enye akangixoxela yona yaka home affairs uthi wababuza lokuze imanagers ama province ukuthi kuthatha isikhathi esingakanani ukwenziwa kwepass uthi bamphendula ngathi bayacula bonke bathi 3 months uthi ngathi okay ke isonto lokuqala kwenziwana zange bamphendula uthi ngathi asiwayekeka amasonto inyanga yokuqala kwenziwana they could not answer wasethi ake siqaleni ukuthi ipass lenzeke in 2 weeks kodwa our ultimate goal is 1 week which is 7 days today ipass kwenzeka kanjalo so ke we need ukuthi se emulate zonke lezo zinto ezinjalo nenye ke yenziwe uNdebele because angazi sibuye sizishintshe izinto ezingadingi ukushintshwa uNdebele as uMEC waka transport eKZN njengoba sibona kunemigwaqo throughout district besihlala khona nabo baba uSikhosana ngimkhumbula kahle MM wasemzimkhulu ethi ni no advisor bami kuhlala ama officials wakhe la kuhlala ithina la sisho ukuthi endaweni ethize nje endaweni ethize kufuneka icauseway endaweni ethize kudingeka lokho nangempela lezo zinto sakwazi ukuthi sis achieve enye ke yezinto mase sihleli nomeso ke sixoxa ukuthi senza kanjani ukuthi sibe nama advisories from imiphakathi ngoba iyona ekwazi uku-advise kahle umuntu ehlala lapho kuleyo ndawo uNdebele wesho njalo ukuthi endaweni ethize kuthiwa udibani kuthiwa uphibani nangempela ke sazibona zonke lezi zinto ezinhle kangaka so ke sizozama ukuthi si-emulate leyo nto siyi-district yaseHerry Gwala akuzuba ilula kodwa nizoyibona i-impact esikhathini esingango 6 to 12 months from now ngiyabonga.
Thank you, Babu Mayor. Ngokusibongela sonke kokubekiweyo nguMinister wethu wakwa Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs. Sizawulandela siye kuMinister in the presidency ubaba uMthembu. Mhlambi before ndimfake uMinister emasontweni zambalwa ebeke wasindwendwela la edistrictini ngale into ye DDM ngoba unguchampion wethu sahamba naye ke saze sayofika nase Sento Khawu ikhona igama ke kuthiwa iCenter Puranaris kodwa sijwayele igama ukuthi Sento Khawu safika eSento Khawu esibhedlela wakuphuza wababaza ukuthi isibhedlela sina network. Then what happened the day before yesterday, Reed Flay Mzimkhulu. He was giving us a report back, yokuthi eSento Khawu, say fully covered network. Imisebenzi yale DDM. Asiqhabele kakhulu lo ndawo. So ngizama ukusho ukuthi sikuzowenzeka izinto eHerry Gwala. Ngibona umuntu akhange ngimbone kahle. Baba Malanda. Hawu. Baba. Cela uacknowledge presence ka Baba Malanda akhange ngimqwalasele kahle ukuthi ukhona. Ngiyabonga baba. Ngicela ukunikezela ubaba uMinister.
Sibonge kakhulu sihlalo uSpeaker uMam Jojo's sibonge kuMinister uMama uDokotela uNkosazana Dlamini Zuma ngokusilonjela le district development model la ekhaya. Sibonge kumakhosi wethu aholwa ubayede bawechelisa. Sibonge kubo bonke omeya basendaweni uHlebezwe Greater Kokstad laphayana Dr. NDZ Deputy Mayor ngiyabona khona uMayor Semzimkhulu sibonge kakhulu noMayor we district sibonga kakhulu kuthena sonke sibe mdibi munye kulomsebenzi nama speaker wonke khona sibonge noza kwethu amalunga weParliament nawo athe awe mdibi munye kule launch kanti futhi nama councillor akhona agqwele indlu nje sibonga kakhulu avela kuyo yonke lemikhandlu sibonge futhi ngiyezwile ukuthi khona nama ward committees akhona siyabonga koza kwethu sibonge kubasebenzi babasipala o municipal manager ngiyabona beze ngobuningi nje impela kanti no DG be national uyambona noNkuna nangu khona minister uDG uRobert uNkuna nangu nempandla yakhe nayo khona lapha kanye nabanye abasebenzi no DG futhi wakho sibonge kakhulu ukuthi yena ukhona naye DG, siyabonga DG. Ngizwile ukuthi yena uyasazi isiZulu DG, so uyangizwa kahle kakhulu. I won't be long. Umama seka wenzile lo msebenzi esiwuzele la, asikwazi ukueda. Thina size la ukuthi sizokwenza lokhu umongameli akwenza kwezinye kwamanye ama district last year. Sasimkhaphile sinoma umongameli uma waya kuphe Waterberg, waya eOR Tambo, waya eThekwini, walonta la amathathu umongameli. Thina ke siholwa phambili ngomama unkosazana ubathi nasilontshe wonke la amanye asasele, wonke la amanye. Sisebenzisana nama provinces, sisebenzisana nama district mayors, na wonke ama mayors wethu kule indawo ezisasele. Yilo ke sikwenzayo ke manje, so that lokho akukhulume ngako umama unkosazana ukusebenza ngokubambisana, so that sizokwazi ukuletha intuthuko ebantwini kwenzeke. Yiloko nje kuphela. Ikhona enye inkokheli eyayikhona eyaba ngumongameli wokuqala weNingizimu Afrika ekhululekile, Baba Madiba, owathi okufanele nasi sinqike kuko kakhulu ukuthi senze impilo engcono kubo bonke abantu. Khona ke laba bazi isilungu, mina ngisazi ke meyamntolo isilungu, kodwa ngiva bathi a better life for all. And ngineqiniso minister ophinda abe ngusisi wami omkhulu ukuthi ngokusebenzisana sisonke sizokwazi ukuletha lempilo engcono ebantwini. Lento Madiba awayekhuluma ngayo ngokubambisana, ushilo umama unkosazana uthi you know, it just defeats the purpose of wanting to deliver when this thing called national thinks they can deliver at local on their own. It doesn't make sense. Then you have got something called province, when they can think that on their own they can deliver at a place called local. Similarly, even for the local to deliver, the constitution yet is very clear. We must all again sekakhulumile ngayo mama nkosazana ukuthi for local to deliver, local needs to work together with province and national. Iku constitution esingazange siyenzeke uqinisile mama. Uma benza ama IDPs vele sibaleke sishone phansi or sithumele junior officials. Kodwa siyabonga ukuthi namanje sekunalendlela yokwenza okuthiwa uDDM. Njengoba nje sonke lana siyambona uDDM esukuma eHarry Gwala. Ukhona ubaba uHlomuka omele iphondo. Sikhona ke thina sinoma simele unational. Kanti futhi akhona ama mayor wethu nama councillor wethu, kanti futhi namo MM bethu abamele ulocal. Sesiyayibona lento isebenza, siyayibona nje impela. Kodwa sizakwazi ukuplana sonke, sisebenze sonke. Ngaphandle kwalabo abakuhulumeni, siyababona nabanye osomabhizinisi nabakhona. Siyababona amakhosi wethu akhona. Siyabona yonke imikhakha ekhona eluntwini ikhona ukuze sibambisane ukuletha impilo engcono ebantwini. Mina ke ngiphinde ngibe nomunye umsebenzi ke awaziyo umsebenzi okuthiwa i-monitoring. Bengikhuluma no DG wami, DG njengoba sesilontshe lo fanele nasilandelele lama plan uZwide akhulume ngawo. Lawe siyowenza la ku district. Sibone ukuthi na ayenzeka na. That's my job, unfortunately, colleagues. Ukuthi ngimonitore ukuthi na lokho esikuthembisayo esikuplanile singohulumeni kuyenzeka. ngithe nje ku DG fathina senze konke kusemandleni wethu ukuthi sibe at least ne capacity to monitor implementation of the programs that arise out of district development model. So nizawusebenza nababili nje impela. Uthina we must monitor so that sikwazi amen. Obsengikhulumele futhi ke seniyangicisha. So we will monitor those programs in all our districts. So Hello? Kezwakala manje. So working together nehhovisi lika mama umama wethu umama uNkosazana. Anizwa
1 2
lento yeni yasebenza madoda. Mshaye shop steward.
1
Uma sengegqina ke